This is the I'm Possible Project show, where we interview real people who have achieved incredible feats in the face of overwhelming odds, showing that impossible is just a state of mind and that anything is possible. I'm your host, Joshua Rivedal. Today, in episode 31, Elevator Going Up, I talk to Israel Zyskind. Let's jump right in. So today I am with my friend Israel Zyskind, and I got a chance to know Israel. He's a pediatrician, and he's a friend of a friend, and we actually got a chance to work together. I got a chance to jump on a new app that he has developed called Elevatr, and so I work as an advisory board member, and I do kind of whatever I can to be of service in that way, but it's in regards to mental health, and so really proud of the work that he's doing as well as the team. And I don't know what more I could say about Israel. I mean, I'm going to kind of let you do that yourself, Israel, but it's so good to have you on the show, man. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, my pleasure, Josh. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, Israel, you're more than that pediatrician guy and the elevator guy and dad and all that stuff. You wear a lot of hats. So I'm curious, and I know my listeners are curious. Could you give us a little more background on your life, where you've been, where you're going, the Israel Zyskind experience, please and thank you.
Sure. I never thought of it that way, the experience. So I'm really a simple guy. I think of myself as a simple guy, not complicated. So my name is Israel Zyskind. I'm a dad of 5 children, 5 beautiful kids, one boy, 4 girls. I'm a husband to a wonderful wife who happens to be a dentist. So we're both in the professional world. We're both in the health fields. My full-time employment, I'm a pediatrician during the day. And I consider myself an entrepreneur at night because that's really the only time I have to entrepreneur, to delve into the entrepreneurial world. I think that I am lucky that I am able to do all this and be able to have all this on my plate. And I know some people get overwhelmed with lots of different things. And I think, I've been given a skill that I'm able to focus on multiple different things at the same time. So I'm able to accomplish that way. I have a busy pediatric practice here in New York City. So I get to see patients throughout the entire day and get to know their families, which is a wonderful experience. And I've taken on certain ventures over the years, which some have worked, some haven't worked. And right now, like you mentioned, we're doing this company called Elevatr, which I'm really excited about, and we're seeing great promise. And we'll talk about it, I guess, a little later on. I think it's something that has the potential to help millions of people, especially in the mental health arena, which is one of the focuses, which I know you're very involved with. And I appreciate you giving me the time to talk about it and to talk about mental health. And that's pretty me in a nutshell. I live this very busy life, but I'm able to focus on what's important. And family first. Family is always first for me. And then comes the job, and then comes everything on top of that. But I'm very based, I have a very strong foundation, a very strong support foundation at home, which allows me to do things outside the realm of traditional medical practice. So I consider myself lucky.
It's pretty amazing, the fact that you can be husband, dad to 5 kids, 4 girls, by the way, listeners.
Yeah, that
might not be the easiest deal in the world, but girls are lovely anyway. Yeah. But dad to 5, private practice, wife is busy with her practice, entrepreneur at night. Like, I got a lot to learn from you, man. I'm a new dad, to teenagers. They're my stepkids, but they're my kids, and so whenever I hear somebody speak the way you do, and we probably can't get into the interview, but I'm just like, I'm in awe because I know how much that taxes the person, but yet, we still juggle and do what we have to do anyway. Dude, how does somebody make the jump from a pediatrician to I want to make a difference in mental health by starting some app or doing something? Because most of the people that work in the mental health field have some kind of story. Usually it's in regards to mental illness or mental health. It's not always. Sometimes it's just somebody who cares. But how do you make that leap, man?
So being a pediatrician is very much taking care of families, taking care of children. And I look at it in 2 components. There's the physical nature, which is the children that have colds and strep throats and all the other stuff, and sometimes more serious illnesses. And then there's the mental health component, which is the children with anxiety and depression and bipolar and OCD, which we come across literally every day in my practice. And what I've noticed over the years, and I'm not an older guy. I've been practicing for 10 years now, which is sort of a sweet spot because I'm not out for 2 years and I don't have a lot of experience, and I'm not out for 30, 40 years and sort of at the tail end. So I'm sort of in a good spot now, I think, to really to develop a perspective. And what I found is that for the physical parts, for the strep throats and for the pneumonias and the bronchitises, even for the cancers, there's a pathway. There's a way to treat it, and it's not simple, but it's clear, I would say. Clarity is the right word here. And I can guide the patient, guide the parent to the area where they're going to get help for their child. And they usually get better. But in the mental health world, there's a real struggle. And and as much as I can refer them to a therapist, it's a constant struggle. There's flare-ups. It goes up and down. It's something that becomes more of a chronic nature that they struggle with for months or years at a time. And I'll meet the parents 6 months, a year later, and I'll say, hey, how's Benjamin doing? And to be like, you know what, he's still struggling. He still has anxieties. Maybe he'll be on medicine, but we're still dealing with it. And so I found, just based on my little experience, that the mental health world is a much more difficult world to palpate, to really get my hands, get under control. And I sense the struggle and I sense the pain of my patient. And it's built up over the years, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. It's built up to the point where I said, is there anything I can do to help these people? And I'm sure I have my own patients, but I'm sure there's tens of thousands of people out there, and parents and adults struggling with mental health. I have friends that have mental health, that are affected with mental health issues that run the gamut, really, everything from schizophrenia to bipolar, and they're also struggling, and they speak to me. So I know the mental health world. There's a when you go online and you research mental health, there's all these organizations, but people really feel very much alone when they deal with their mental health. It's very personal. It's very, I wouldn't say secretive, but for the most part, people keep it very internal. They don't externalize it. So if somebody has pneumonia, they can go to work and say, hey, I have pneumonia and I'm on an antibiotic. I needed 3 days off. Everybody understands that. But if somebody's really depressed, it's very, you carry that on your own shoulder. And it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to go to your boss and even go to your colleagues. Sometimes hard even go to your spouse, even the people that know you the best, and tell them what your struggles are. So that burden of carrying all that illness on yourself, and then on top of that, not being able to tell people about it, just accentuates and it makes it so much worse. So I felt this, and I feel that it's a very real struggle that many, many people have. So that's really what set me on the path to say, Israel, what can you do to help these people? That's pretty much the story in a nutshell, Josh.
Powerful, because I was having this conversation with somebody earlier today about how we need more allies in this fight to kind of decrease stigma and get people talking. People who aren't personally affected. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's kind of like the LGBT movement, where we need straight allies to come on board to sort of help make it easier for folks in that community. And we need, as people living with mental illness, we need allies so that those 6, 7, 8-year-olds and their parents are actually going to get them the help they need and not consider their child as less than, or this is taboo or we can't talk about it. So I really applaud you for that. And I applaud you for also filling in some gaps where they're needed, because there's so many when it comes to this particular field. And there's only so much time each and every one of us has on our hands. And so we just need more people to plug more holes. And so I think with your efforts and energy, they're moving in the right direction, and they're really trying to help plug a hole or several with the people that come into your office, the kids and the parents. I mean, do you find that even if you are super open, you yourself are super open about, hey, I'm cool with this, like your son, little Benjamin, he might be displaying some symptoms of some kind of mental illness, which is okay, and then you tell mom, and does mom or dad, are they more often than not getting that treatment because of the stigma, or how does that work? What are you seeing?
So I happen to live in a very Orthodox Jewish community, which allows for this, which has a very strong stigma against mental health, to the point where sometimes I'll tell a patient, your child needs to get help. And then I'll say, okay. And then a couple months later, I'll be like, what happened? And they'll be like, well, we didn't do anything because we didn't want a diagnosis. We'd rather not deal with it or let him outgrow it or let her outgrow it. So there's a very big stigma within our community, a really big stigma here that I deal with really on a daily basis, to try to tell parents that you're not alone. There's other people out there that are just like your child, just like you, and they've gotten help. And you can be private about it. There's nothing wrong with being private about it, but you really have to do what's best for your child or for you. And if that goes against the stigma, then you have to break it, because you can't let somebody suffer and let it build to the point where help would be even more difficult to get. And we all know that mental illness not addressed in an appropriate manner that's of timely nature can grow and can really burden somebody to the point where therapy may have to go on for a much longer period of time, or they may need to be medicated at some point if it's not addressed properly initially. If things are swept under the rug, sometimes for years at a time, it builds up, and these children and these adults grow up, and they come to resent sometimes even the care that they got, and says, you know what, you knew I was suffering, you knew I was depressed, and you let me live like this for 6 years or 8 years, and I went through college like this, and it was really, really hard. And then it's so much more work to undo what's been done. So I stress to the parents always that it's really important that once they identify that there's some mental health issue going on, it's really important for them to act on it. Very, very important. And yes, there may be a stigma attached to it, but they really have to know that their child comes first and community second. That's the way I explain it to them.
Great. It's a great mindset to bring to the table. And what you said about outgrowing it, I'm like, so do you outgrow diabetes? Do you outgrow XYZ? Like, I find out a lot of people, and I'm so glad because you do treat the physical, but a lot of times we need to show people that the physical and the mental can be juxtaposed together, and when it's compared to that physical condition, then it's a little more palatable for them to understand.
Exactly.
And so really cool that you're there in that place, in that space, like on the front lines doing that. And
Exactly. And we try to tell people that it's very real. It's not, people think, oh, it's all my head. And sometimes I hear people say, it's only in my head, or they'll tell a child, it's in your head, grow out of it. Time to grow up. But it's not. It's very real, whether it's a chemical imbalance or whether that's the way the brain is wired. It's a very real, hallucinations are very real, and depression is very, very real. You can't snap out of it. It doesn't work just by speaking, just by forcing it out. You need to go through a path of getting better and really finding the right therapist and the right team approach to really help. So yeah, it's been, I think we're making tremendous progress. I have lots of success stories, but it's a challenge. And one of the things I identify is that when a parent comes in or a patient comes in, I will follow up with them very carefully a week or two down the line and sort of prod them along and say, hey, I know I'm just following up. We spoke 2 weeks ago. You told me that you're not eating. You told me that you're losing weight. What's going on? Did you speak to that person who I referred you to? And if they didn't, I will push them along until they do, because I know it's my responsibility to make sure they're getting the appropriate care.
I want to call attention real quick, because this is a very different interview than I'm used to doing. This is a good thing, because usually we talk about people overcoming obstacles and flipping them on their head, and assets or liabilities and assets. But actually, you are doing that, but in a different way, because we're not talking about your personal struggle or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure we could in some way, shape, or form. But I'm really interested, and I'm glad we got a chance to do this, because I didn't know what we were going to talk about. But the fact that you really are turning these lemons into lemonade, in the sense where, like, you could just bury your head in the sand and kind of check out and be like, well, yeah, totally. I'm doing my job and that's it. And, that could be somebody else's issue. Like, I got enough on my plate. I got 5 kids. I've got this. I got that. But you don't do that. And I think it's really powerful and really incredible. And that's a big reason why I wanted to do this interview, because I knew that about you, but I just wasn't sure where we were going to direct the conversation.
Yeah, totally. You know what drives me, Josh? One of the things that drives me is based on my personal experience. I think I have the ability to be very empathetic, the ability to feel other people's pain and struggle. And my wife and I had a situation, 5.5 years ago. We were having a baby, and the doctor, all the way towards the end of her pregnancy, the doctor tells us something was very wrong with the baby, and it was a very dramatic couple weeks. I was at work. My wife comes over to me the night before, and she's like, "Do you think I look big?" And I'm like, "No, honey, you look beautiful." My wife, she's 9 months pregnant, and what else am I going to say? I'm like, I see pregnant women all day long. I'm like, no, you look gorgeous. You're fine. So she goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Oh, you're big. We need to do an emergency sonogram." And I'm at work, and she's at the doctor's office, and she calls me up, and she says, I'm going for this sonogram, this emergency sonogram, and I just, what do you think's going on? I'm like, I'm not sure, So she goes to the sonogram, and the doctor, I run over there. I leave work, and the doctor comes, the the technician first is doing the sonogram, and she's like, she's making these weird sounds. I'm like, is everything okay? She goes, the doctor's going to come speak to you. I'm like, oh, that's, nobody ever wants to hear that. And the doctor comes in, and he's looking, and he's whispering to her, and they're looking back and forth, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? I need to know what's going on. This is, our hearts are pounding literally in our chest. And the doctor's, well, the child's very sick. And I don't want to go through the medical terminology, but the child's got a pleural effusion, ascites, and a pericardial effusion, something wrong with the heart, something wrong with the lungs. We're not sure. And we're like, oh my God. And the obstetrician calls us and says, I think we should deliver the baby right away. The baby looks really sick. And it's literally what I call free fall. There are some times in life when people get a phone call of somebody was in a car accident, or somebody just got diagnosed with something, or something bad happened to somebody, and that your heart just drops out from under you, and your mind goes blank, and it's a terrible state. You can't think rationally. You can have all the support in the world, nothing. You don't even hear anything at that point. I call that free fall. It's just until somebody stabilizes you. And sometimes it takes a couple hours, a couple days, or weeks, but that's the state of mind I was in. My mind was racing. I felt sick, and I felt, I felt hopeless. I really felt that this is the end. Who knows what I'm getting into. Long story short, she was delivered. We fixed her. She had surgery. She was sick for a couple of weeks, but she's doing fine. And what I found is it made me so much more of a stronger person to be able to experience something like that and to feel what other people go through at that point. And I was thinking, all the good organizations we have, the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, whether it's the Impossible Project, Elijah's Journey, which we both know about, these organizations are so powerful because the founder of these organizations lived through an experience where the rug was pulled out from under them, and they struggled. Really, they mighty struggle. And at some point, they said to themselves, not only am I going to get myself better, and am I going to make myself a better person and stronger, but I'm going to go now and help other people. And that challenge for people to be able to take that low point in their life and turn it into a high point where they all of a sudden they can accomplish things and found organizations and help thousands, if not millions of people that are suffering because they've lived through an experience. That to me is the most powerful human ability possible, because if they didn't go through that challenge, they'd just be another person on the street just going to work and doing their thing. But because they were able to lift themselves up and they were able to accomplish and overcome the impossible, really, what they thought was impossible, and now they're helping other people with it, to me, that's my inspiration. I meet people sometimes who started organizations to help people with either cystic fibrosis because they have children with it, or cancer, or there are so many different organizations out there that help people and in the mental health world because they understand it, they get it, and and they're passionate about it, and they will not let it fail. When somebody starts an organization that they're not passionate about, and it doesn't go so easy, they said, you know what, screw it, I'm out. Yeah, it's not worth my time. But these people are passionate, and it's invariably successful because they don't let us fail. And that's my drive. And that's really when I see these people, and we both probably know people like this. And I think you're included on that list, Josh, in my mind. But when you meet people who've gone through that struggle and have risen up, to me, those people are gold. They are the best people out there. They are individuals who are going to make a difference in lives and who've taken themselves and risen up from the ashes. And I am proud to know them and to hopefully one day be part of them.
That's why I do these interviews. That's who I have on these shows. So I'm going to bunch you in with these people because I know that the experience you have with your daughter definitely informs your work, and that's powerful. That's got to be incredibly impactful. And then just seeing, that these gaps need to be filled, you're like, wow, I got it. I'm going to do it. And you have been through difficult experience that could have very well not necessarily mental illness, but it definitely taxed your mental health. And you have a great wife, and you have a support system as you talked about previously. And so you were able to tap into those, and then you use these experiences to then you flip them on their head, and they're not as big as they used to be because you kind of took some control back, which is really, really powerful. It's not just a survivor, but it's somebody who's thriving in the face of any of these difficulties that get brought onto this show. So, man, you're another of our lemonade baristas, man. You're turning lemons, you turn lemons into lemonade, and that's really what this is about. And
that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what that's what life's about. Life's about not just yourself, about looking at somebody else and helping somebody else. That's what it's about.
Truly. And I tell you, like, life has become so much more rich and full, because if I wasn't able to do that, I don't know if I'd still be alive, you know? And so I think I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful to be helping people like you and different organizations. So it's good to be connected, and good that we're able to share in the same mission. So Israel, I want to switch gears. Actually, this is going to be. I know we've riffed a little bit, and we've talked about some deep stuff, but this is a little segment on every show, just because we do talk about deep stuff, social justice, trauma, tragedy, but in a very hopeful way. But I want people to see a different side of our guests, including you. And so this is like the quick fire round. And it's not always as quick as it should be, but that's okay, because we're just having fun. And I'm just going to ask you some questions. It's like the Tonight Show or the Letterman, where, you know, I'm interviewing my celebrity guest.
And, of course. Yeah, sure.
You know, so here we go. Israel, what is your favorite word?
I guess hope.
I like hope.
You know, I like hope because, you know, it's a positive word. It's important, and it makes the world go round and round every single day. There's hope. As bad as things get, there's hope. There's something. It's going to get better out there. It's going to be good.
Yeah. I like it. So what's your least favorite word then?
Least favorite word, I'd say, is probably, you know, I give up, or, you know, I can't do it. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Because, can't. Or no.
The mindset.
I really don't like that. It's a mindset. It's all what's in your head, and I think that if you set your mind to it, you know, even if you don't accomplish your original goals, and some people have, you know, massive goals, but make a goal that's realistic that you can accomplish. And if you don't accomplish it, say, okay, it didn't work out, but let me do something a little smaller. Let me make something positive out of it. Let me move it forward a little bit, you know? Not just to say, no, I'm out, that's it, I can't do it. So I tell it to my kids a lot, by the way. My kids come home and say, I can't do homework, I can't eat supper. I'm like, no, that's not the right word. We don't say I can't. We don't say I can't. We could. We're going to eat a little broccoli. It's going to be very hard. It's going to be it's not going to.
I choose not to.
Choose not to, exactly. So you chose not to, but let's choose to. Let's be positive about it. And I think it's very important to have a positive mindset. And it's very hard. It's very, very hard to go through your day, you know, positively. And sometimes we all have rough days, and we all feel crappy at some point throughout our day, throughout our week. And, you know, it's very easy for me to talk when I'm in a good mood and say, yeah, be positive and hope. But I go through my challenges too. I know you built me up to be somebody very, very important, but I go through challenges too. And there are times I say, you know what, just close it up. It's crazy. It's too much. Stop it. And then I say, you know what? I'll come back an hour or two later and I'll say, you know what? Let's try it again. Let's be persistent. So it's all about the positive message.
Agreed. Next question. Israel, if somebody made a movie of your life, the Israel Zyskind story on AMC, we'll give you a nice studio network, who would play the title role of Israel?
Who would play Brad Pitt, of course. Come on. This is got to be a good-looking guy, you know, who's relaxed and chilled.
I love it. This movie's getting made, friends.
Yeah, exactly. We should do it.
And we're both entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so whoever it is, I like Bradley Cooper. I think he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper seems like a cool cat.
Definitely.
Yeah. You ever watch the movie Limitless? You ever see that movie Limitless that Bradley Cooper was in?
No.
Awesome movie.
I haven't seen
Awesome movie.
It's
you gotta go get it. It's he finds somebody gives him this little pill, and he's struggling through life, and he lost his job, and things are going bad. And he finds this little pill, and he takes this little pill, and it blows his mind. You know, they say that we only use 10% of our brains. And what the pill does is it opens up 100% of his brain. All of a sudden, he became this stock genius, and all of a sudden, everything was clicking for him. But there was a downside to it too. It's a very cool movie. I suggest if you have time, go watch it.
I'm taking note of that right now. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
I like the concept. Bradley Cooper. Yeah. That's Israel Zyskind as well.
Cooper.
I also like the concept of that.
Of
Let's see. Okay, I like this one. Israel, who or what is your spirit animal?
I'd say some sort of bird, like an eagle, perhaps. I think, you know, the eagle's strong. The eagle is powerful. The eagle has this very bird's eye view. It looks down. It sees the whole picture. It can swoop down when it needs to. It's protected because nobody's after it. I like the comfort of it, and it's the American, it's the American bird there. So I think eagles are pretty cool. Yeah.
Eagle.
Totally.
I like it. I think, actually, I had Ephraim on the other day, and I think he said eagle as well. So,
cool.
Kind of funny.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike. Yeah, cool.
True story. What else do I want to do? Okay. Okay. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you as you enter or as you get kicked out?
Well, hopefully not get kicked out.
Right.
But, I think he'll tell me that, I gave you abilities, and we all know, I think God gives people abilities, right? He gives them intelligence. He gives other people common sense. He gives other people charisma. And very few people have that full package, right? Everything. And I don't think anybody has that full package, but I think everybody sort of has their strengths and their weaknesses, right? So I hope God turns to me and says, listen, I gave you these strengths. I gave you the ability to accomplish certain things and help people. And you really did it. And you helped my children. You really went out there and you really made a difference in all these people's lives. And I'm proud of you. And I hope he says that you did good. You did good, my son, because I think we have missions here. There's a mission to serve here. I'm a believer. So I think we have missions here. There's a greater good here. And we have to try. And there's nothing sadder to me than just seeing somebody just live life sad, not really doing anything with their life and just trudging through every day and just barely just surviving, because life is so rich and precious. There's so much to tap into. There's so much you can have in all different ways, whether people have kids or don't have kids, whether people have good work or have money or don't have money. You can find people in every area that have accomplished, that have done good. So whatever you are, whatever your strengths are, use it. Use it for good. Think, how can I use my good looks, right? How can I use my charisma for good? How can I have a tremendous amount of common sense. I'm a people's person. I'm not a people's person. I'm a socialite. I'm not a socialite. How do I take that and even one little thing and make somebody else's life better day by day, little by little?
Mm-hmm. Brilliant answer. Brilliant. I think we all have our strengths and even those people perceivably who have very little offer. That's not my judgment call, and so everybody's got some intrinsic value and something to offer and something to make someone else's day better. So I think the man upstairs, if that's all, I can't prove it, but if it's there, I think we can bank on that, because you are definitely working to make other people's lives better. I'm witness to it. So.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Little
and
by
I feel
little,
there's more.
day by day.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Israel, that's kind of the end of our quick fire round, but I do want to ask you, as we're kind of winding down, if people want to follow you, follow your work, follow maybe Elevatr, or get in touch with you for whatever reason, whether it's in regard to mental health or even some pediatric stuff, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, what's a good way to get in touch with you, if at all possible?
So, I like to think of myself as accessible. You can go to the website, elevatr.com, and Elevatr is Elevatr. We leave out the O at the end, so it's Elevatr, or just Google Elevatr Zyskind, that's Zyskind. People want to call me, you can call me, text me, 917-741-0400. You can email me at israel@elevatr.com. So I like to be accessible to people, because I learn from people, and I enjoy hearing from people. So reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I'm not really a Facebook person. I never really got into that. But I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on the other social media platforms, and I'm on the website. So if anybody needs to reach me, you just Google me and you'll find me.
Awesome. I will definitely make sure to get all that stuff in the show notes. So when people see the episode on our site, it'll be on iTunes, it'll be on all that other stuff. And when they see it on our site, they'll know, they'll be able to click through to all that stuff. Israel, man, this was awesome. I'm really glad that we got a chance to do this. I felt like I learned a whole lot more about you and just like a deeper connection. Yeah. And it was a real honor. It was a real treat, man. So thank you once again. Really, really
likewise.
Awesome.
Likewise. Keep up your good work too, Josh. You're doing great stuff.
You've been listening to the I'm Possible Project show with Joshua Rivedal and guest Israel Zyskind. I love sharing stories and how to turn impossible into I'm possible. If you want more inspirational stories, our second and third books are in pre-order right now. Changing Minds, Breaking Stigma, Achieving the Impossible, as well as Lemonade Stand. Both contain powerful stories of overcoming tremendous odds. When life gives you lemons, squeeze, add sugar, and pick up a copy of The I'm Possible Project. www.IamPossibleProject.com/pre-order. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're more than a community. You're part of the I'm Possible family. Until next time, sending you lots of love.